Hello everybody, it's Nation back yet again, bringing you guys another video. So today's video is going to be all about what hair type you have and what porosity level of hair. Your hair type and your hair porosity. So yes, I'm going to try to keep this very short and very simple because you can go on and on explaining the different types of hair you have and the different products that are good for it and all of that stuff. So we're just going to cover the basics today.
Alright, so as you can see here, there are 4 different hair types. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 is straight, 2 is wavy, 3 is curly, and 4 is kinky. And as you can see, each of them are divided into 3 subcategories, including type 1 hair. This picture just doesn't show it, but we're going to go ahead and cover it. A is the more fine texture of the 3, and C is the more thick and coarse texture of the 3. Alright, so starting with straight hair, we're going to talk about type 1A hair, which is the most fine, thin texture of any hair type. This hair type is really silky and soft, almost like baby hair. Like it's really smooth and silky. The only thing is it does not have a lot of body to it, and there's not many things you can do with it since it is so fine and silky and smooth. So 1B hair has a little bit more body than type 1A hair, and it actually does hold a curl. It's also said that the ends of 1B hair kind of curl slightly, unlike the type 1 hair that just stays completely straight the whole time. Alright, 1C hair is the thickest texture of the 3. It's more coarse and it has a lot more body, and it's a lot easier to heat style. With straight hair, the hair shaft is round and the cuticles are smooth, so the hair tends to be a lot more oily. Since the hair is straight and doesn't have any curls really, it easily moves down the strand. So it's really important for these ladies to wash their scalp and hair regularly so that their hair doesn't appear really oily. Moving on to type 2 hair, which is wavy. Type 2A hair is the most thin and fine texture of the wavy category, and it has really loose beach waves all over. 2A hair isn't as frizzy as the other 2 types, and you have to be careful to not weigh it down with too many products. Type 2B hair has a bit more defined waves, but it's also a little bit coarse and more frizzy. This hair is really easy to style, but you have to be careful with tangling and also frizziness. Type 2C hair is the thickest and waviest texture of the 3. The waves are really tight, so it almost could be confused with a curl, but it's a really loose spiral. And it's the frizziest of all 3 types. The hair has more body, but it's not as shiny as 2A and 2B type hair. So overall, type 2 hair is just the perfect mix of straight hair and curly hair. It's not super dry, but it's not overly oily. Moving on to type 3 hair, which is curly hair. Type 3A hair has the loosest curl pattern of the curly hair textures, and it's also the silkiest of the 3. It's like a really deep wave, but borderline defined spiral. Type 3B hair is a bit more thicker and defined than type 3A hair. The curls are a lot more spiraled and springy. 3B hair is pretty defined, although in order to keep the definition, you'll need the help of some styling products such as hair cream or some kind of gel. Type 3C hair is the thickest and most defined of all 3 textures. It has a really tight curl and is almost like a defined coil. The curls are usually really clumped together, and it takes a bit more work to maintain the definition and moisture and to keep away the frizz. Overall, with type 3 hair, you have to be careful to not use products that are going to overly dry your hair. Since curly hair has so many curves and contain bends in it, the natural oils on our scalp have a hard time traveling down our hair shaft. It's best to use moisturizing products and to stay away from drying shampoos. The last hair texture is type 4 hair, which is coily hair. Type 4 hair is the thickest texture of all the hair types. Type 4A curls are really tight corkscrew kind of curls, and they're like super duper springy. Type 4A hair is the easiest curl pattern to distinguish out of the three because the curl pattern is looser and not as tight as the other two. Type 4 hair is even thicker and more defined than type 4A hair. The biggest difference between the two is that type 4B hair has less of a defined curl pattern and more of a sharp angle that forms the letter Z. Type 4B hair has a ton of shrinkage. It's ridiculous how long type 4 girls' hair is, and we really can't tell until their hair is stretched all the way out. Type 4C hair is the thickest, most coarse, most coily, most dry of all the hair textures. 4C hair is known to shrink by more than half of its length. Like, that's insane. The strands are very thick and coarse, and the curl pattern is so defined that you can hardly see it, and it's almost impossible to see your scalp without really sectioning your hair. This curl pattern is like the tightest corkscrew in the world. Since 4C hair is the most dry of the three, it's more vulnerable to breakage because of how dry and brittle the hair can get. So overall, type 4 hair is said to have more like a cotton feel, and it doesn't have as much shine and silkiness as the other texture. Type 4 hair is the most fragile because there are fewer cuticle layers than the other types, so there's less protection from damaging factors like combing and heat styling your hair. So it's very important to make sure that you're not manipulating your hair on a daily basis just so that you can protect your hair from possible breakage, and to make sure that you keep your hair moisturized. That is key. So usually protective styling for this hair type is amazing. Alright, so I believe we covered all of the hair types, and now it's time to talk about your hair porosity. The definition of porosity is your hair's ability to absorb moisture. Your hair porosity is split into three categories, which is low, normal, and high. With low porosity hair, the cuticles lay flat and tight around the cortex, so it makes retaining moisture difficult. With this hair texture, you'll notice that it's really hard to saturate your hair with water, and when you are color processing your hair, it takes a long time. This hair type is also prone to buildup, and if it is protein sensitive, it can leave it feeling really stiff and brittle. You will also notice that it takes forever for your hair to dry, and if you're using really thick, heavy products on your hair will feel really weighed down and just greasy. It's really important to use some heat while you're deep conditioning to help open up your hair shaft. As far as styling, you want to make sure that you're using products that aren't going to potentially weigh down your hair, so you want to keep them light. And to avoid product buildup, you want to make sure that you're cleansing your hair with a delicate shampoo or even an apple cider vinegar rinse to make sure that the scalp is cleansed. With normal porosity hair, you don't have to work as hard. The cuticle layer is looser, allowing for the perfect amount of moisture to enter without allowing too much moisture to escape. Normal porosity hair tends to hold styles and can be permed and colored easily. It's okay to include protein in your treatment every now and then. You want to stay away from sulfates as they strip your hair from natural oils, and occasional deep conditioning will be great for your hair as well. Now with high porosity hair, your cuticle has huge gaps and holes which allow way too much moisture in and allows way too much moisture to leave. This level is prone to breakage and frizz, so you have to do a little bit more work. It is very important to make sure that you're using leave-in conditioners, moisturizers, and that when you're finished layering your products, you seal it in with an oil. Layering products helps to hold in the moisture and fill in the gaps. High porosity hair can be a result from damage or it can be hereditary. You'll notice you have high porosity hair if it takes no time to saturate your hair and it takes no time for your hair to dry. You'll also notice that your hair just becomes dry very fast during the week if you do not constantly apply moisture back into your hair shaft. So you just want to make sure that you're constantly deep conditioning and that you add protein to your regimen on a regular basis. I personally have high porosity hair and I love my protein treatments at least once every 2 weeks to just prevent the breakage, and I deep condition every single week. You don't want to use harsh sulfate shampoos. You actually want to co-wash and just make sure that you are applying as much moisture as possible. The easiest way to determine what your hair porosity level is to take a clean section of hair that you just washed and just put it in a cup of water. If your hair floats at the top, you have low porosity hair, so it's really hard for that water to seep into your cuticles. If you have normal porosity hair, then your hair will just float in the middle, so you have the right amount of moisture and the right amount of moisture retention. And for all of us who have low porosity hair, your hair will just sink to the bottom, which means that your hair is just soaking in all of that moisture, but as soon as you take that hair out of the water, your hair is dry. If you would like to see me do my own porosity level test, please comment down below and I'll have that up for you. The process is very simple.
So there you have it. There's a very basic overview of the types of hair there are and the types of hair porosity there are. I hope you liked this video. If you did, like it, comment, subscribe, and yeah. Alright guys, so I'm done talking. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Make sure that you subscribe so that you can see the next video. Alright, bye.